And there's
one up there.
well, we're not going to get up there, are we?
No, it's not.
Stairs, and then there's more stairs, and then there's stairs after that.
Stairs.
That's a lot of stairs. We can't get in this way. I've got a bet. We've got stairs down there, we've got stairs there, and there's some more stairs there. And even if we got up to that level, there's a stoop that goes into the Capitol, but we can't get in there. We're going to have to go around. In the early 70s, when the Federal Rehabilitation Act of 1973 was enacted, it gave us civil rights for the first time. We never had any rights before that. And then in 1976, they amended it. There's a long story about occupying the federal building in San Francisco and Washington, which was a lot of fun, but we're not talking about that right now. But anyway, so when we came to the Capitol, we couldn't get in to talk to the legislators. We couldn't get to talk to anybody. There was a walk a mile in our shoes. And we got people to bring in blindfolds and canes and wheelchairs. And we got the senators, mostly men, there were very few women there then, and we got them in wheelchairs and blindfolds and earmuffs. We disabled them. And then we said, we want you to go to the bathroom, we want you to make a telephone call, we want you to get in the building, and we want you to get a drink of water. Well, they couldn't get a drink of water, they got water on their ties. They went in the bathroom and hit things with their faces if they had a blindfold on. If in a wheelchair, they couldn't get in the bathroom at all. They couldn't get into the telephone booth to make a phone call. And so we gathered them outside over on the other side of the building, and we said, what do you think? And they said, well, we couldn't go to the bathroom. That was really important. We couldn't get a drink of water, we couldn't make a phone call, and we couldn't get in the building.
And when was this?
This is in the early 70s. Early 70s. This is after the Federal Rehab Act, and they said, well, you know, things need to be changed. We'll change the building. We said, no, senators, we want to change the state. And California for Disability Rights started then. It had a different name. It was called California Association of the Physically Handicapped. Well, we got over that because we talk about all disabilities. We got everybody included. Anyway, so we got them to put electric doors on the north side and the south side. And they're still there. Oh, no, they're not. Homeland Security took them out and built a whole room on both sides of the Capitol. And you push a button, the doors open, and you can get inside. And this building had some severe problems because it was built a long time ago, and so they tore out the inside and rebuilt it. And then there was a difference between the new building and the other end, and so they wanted to put more stairs in, and we said, no, we need a ramp. We need a ramp. And so they designed a ramp, and we'll get a chance to get in there later and see it. It's made of marble. It's a little slick, and it's a little steep for today's standards, but the thing about starting here in California, we passed a lot of laws, the blue curb law and accessible bathrooms and curb cuts and curb ramps and a whole lot of things. And our idea was to do this in California because we're the cutting edge of the country, and then we'd take that and make the whole country accessible. Now there's hundreds of organizations involved in this. It wasn't just us. But the people from California mostly, and other people from other states, went back to Washington and got the American Disabilities Act. The American Disabilities Act was born in California. We were certainly part of it. An awful lot of our people were involved in it. There were lots of other people. I'm not saying we did it by ourselves, but much of the legislation was carried by CAF, and we got wonderful legislators. In fact, one of our big supporters was John Garamendi, who was the senator then, and he's the lieutenant governor now. So we had a lot of help. We're talking about access because people are going to look at this and they're going to see stairs and they're going to say, well, I got stairs in my community, I got stairs in my building. This is the capital of the state. And we wanted to make this building accessible because in other communities they say, oh, it's historic, we can't fix it. Well, when we testified, we said, unless you put in outhouses and gas lamps and everybody's writing with the quill pen, you can't claim this is a historic building. You brought it up to date, and you can't claim that we can't get in and you can't put a ramp in. So when they say it's historic, mostly they have to fix it. About other disabilities too, because if you go into a place and you can't hear, for instance, when they have hearings here and they have demonstrations, if you can't hear, the rooms in this building are equipped with listening devices, so that if you have hearing, you can use those assisted hearing devices, and then they also can have signers to come in so that you can follow the proceedings if you're deaf.
We're talking about the access at the street corner of the Capitol.
Right. We were just down there and we were looking at the fact that all four corners are ramped. Now we call them curb ramps. We used to call them curb cuts, but now they're called curb ramps. And you notice in the video, you'll see that all four corners are ramped. And what happens in some communities, and even in Sacramento, you'll find that only one corner is ramped and you can't get across the street. Or maybe two are ramped and you can't get across the street. In your own communities, you need to let the people know, we only ramped one corner, we got to get the other ones ramped. Because one of the things that we're talking about here is in your own community, if you don't have this much access, ramps, curb cuts, and we'll be showing the doors later on, if you don't have this kind of access, you have a right to it. Because we're talking about 1973 when we got our civil rights. You have a right to get into buildings. You have a right to get across the street. You have a right to transportation, education. There's a whole lot of things you have a right to. And if you don't know that, this is one of the things we're talking about. You've got civil rights, and you can ask for them, and you can get them. One of the things about our organization, Californians for Disability Rights, is that's all we do, is we get access. And we have people all over the state who are working on it. So we've talked about the curb ramps.
Why are they ramps rather than cuts now?
Because in a lot of places it's a smooth surface and there's no curb to cut. One of the things that happens with the new ramps is that people are accustomed to stepping off the curb. They did this for hundreds of years. And nowadays they see the curb ramp and everybody funnels to the curb ramp and they won't step off the curb anymore. You notice, if you're in a chair, you notice everybody funnels down into a small space, which gets very interesting, but because they've been there for so long, people expect them. People expect access now. It doesn't impede anybody, and good access doesn't make it harder for anybody.
No,
it makes it easier for everybody. And people are so used to going through doors that automatically open that they don't think about it anymore. And the door opens and they go in and we go in and we're just like everybody else.
Matter of fact, let's do that now.
Let's do that now. All right. When I was a little girl, I used to play in here. My babysitter's husband was the chief janitor here. And I grew up crawling around on the floor and playing in this building. And Isabella was my friend, and so was Cristobal Colon, Christopher Columbus. Christopher Columbus discovered a new world. Some people think he spoiled the neighborhood. But what happened hundreds and hundreds of years ago changed our society. We've been trying to change our society by bringing access, ramps, doors that open, curb cuts and curb ramps that allow us to get across the street. And we're looking for something beyond this now. We're in a new millennium and we're looking for universal access. That's beyond the American Disabilities Act. Universal access is for everybody, every person throughout their whole life, so they can live in a home that's accessible and age in place. So they don't have to move to a nursing home, so they don't have to move somewhere else. We're beginning, universal access is beginning. It's beginning now, it's beginning with us. And those of you who are watching us, we want you to be part of it.